Hey guys, welcome to Voltar's Hour. It's a beautiful Monday, August 14th, and of course, we were supposed to have our show yesterday at 4, but as you can see, we got a shiny new toy in the back. Awesome toy. This is my new favorite toy. Now, I'm going to figure out how this whole HDMI hookup to the laptop works. I may need someone to kind of do that, to change the background and put the stuff on screen. But anyway, we're here for a lot of reasons today. One is the tropics. Tropical storm Gert is out there. So what we're going to do is, and of course, as you guys can see, I'm kind of doing all of this. So, yeah, we're going to go right into your tropical up.
And now your tropical update.
That's right, guys, right into the tropical update. Check it out, it's even on the screen in the back. It's like a whole newsroom in here. It's really awesome. I like the setup that I'm getting at, but eventually, as time goes on, it's going to get more sophisticated, it's going to get bigger, and that's the whole idea of what we're doing. So here we go with your tropical update. You have Tropical Storm Gert out there, and this is as of 5 p.m. The center of Gert was located near latitude 30.6 degrees north, longitude 72.3 degrees west, or about 455 miles west-southwest of Bermuda. Gert is moving to the north near 8 miles per hour. This motion is expected to continue through tonight, and the turn to the northeast with an increase in forward speed is expected late Tuesday or Tuesday night. Maximum sustained winds have increased to near 70 miles per hour, so it's almost hurricane status with higher gusts. Additional strengthening is forecasted, and Gert is expected to become a hurricane tonight. No threats to land at this time. Tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 105 miles per hour from the center. Estimated central minimum pressure is 992 millibars. Now, there is hazards affecting land such as surf swells generated by Gert will spread northward along the east coast of the United States from North Carolina northward to Long Island, New York during the next couple of days. Swells also to affect Bermuda over the next couple of days. These swells are likely to cause life-threatening conditions, so if you are in those areas, please consult products from your local weather office. Now, there is another disturbance out there, guys. It's disturbance 1. All right. Now this advisory is as of 2 p.m. The next advisory will be issued at 8 p.m. and that's when we're going to send out our advisory here on Voltar's Hour, Voltar's World. All right. So as of 2 p.m., showers and thunderstorms associated with an elongated area of low pressure located nearly, oh, excuse me, I'm reading the paper wrong. Located several hundred miles west-southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands, have changed little in organization since this morning. Environmental conditions are expected to be generally conducive for development during the next several days while the disturbance moves westward at about 15 miles per hour over the tropical Atlantic. Formation chance through the next 48 hours is low at 30%. And over the next 5 days, the medium chance at 60%, and that is from forecaster Brown at the National Hurricane Center. Alright, so there you have it, guys. There are 2 disturbances out there. Disturbance 1 is particularly one that we want to watch. If you look at that forecasted track that I just put up there, that's over a 5-day period. So we want to keep our eyes on that. As you can see, the tip of that forecasted track has it over the Lesser Antilles within the next 5 days. Now remember, these forecast cones, they can go anywhere in those forecast cones. So you have the cone there, and any of those lines outward or inward of that is the estimated path of this storm, the projected path. So just keep that in mind whenever you're looking at the projected paths of these storms throughout the hurricane season. All right, so as we go through with the tropical update, that'll be the end of that story. You can see in the background, I'm trying my best with this thing. How awesome is that? Anyway, moving right along, I'm looking in the background and I'm seeing that the wonderful computer of mine has decided not to continue playing the logo, so we're just gonna do that again. We'll get it eventually, guys. Alright, so let's get into why we're on the air today. There's a lot going on here in the Bahamas politically. Recently, there has been some arrest of former ministers. You hear us talking about it constantly. As you know, Voltar's World, Voltar's Hour, we support the Free National Movement. Of course, 100%. So I'm just letting you guys know now. I'm not going to say we're biased, but we take favor, all right? So that's it. It's kind of like Fox News. You know that Fox is Republican, and you know that CNN is Democrat. So you know we're F&M. So don't like it, and I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about that. I can't see the comments today, guys. I just totally forgot to mention that. So if you are commenting, I'll see them after the show, and we'll engage in conversation then. So the papers today were lit. I'm telling you, they were lit. But there's one particular thing that I want to talk about, and I saw it on Facebook yesterday. And someone was talking about the Deputy Prime Minister misleading the House of Assembly and the Bahamian people. All right, I know that was in the news today as well. Misleading them on what grounds? That he made forecasts on the budget deficit, which he pretty much did. But I don't think you guys, some of you know the difference between deficit and debt. So let's get into that. And I took the liberty of writing all of this down today. So we're going to talk about it. Well, I'm going to talk to you about it, and then you can engage after that. Whatever. All right? Now, in this case, deficit, this is what deficit is. In this case, it is the amount by which the government spending exceeds its income over a particular period of time. All right? So in other words, if you are making $5, okay, and your spending exceeds that $5, like you get an income of $5, but your spending goes over your income, that is deficit. Okay? We got that clear, right? That's clear, right? I can't make that any clearer. Your income is $5, but you're spending $10. All right, then. That's at least how I understand it. All right. Now, debt pretty much means something, typically money owed or due. All right. There is a big difference there. Now, the deficit of $500 million presented by the Deputy Prime Minister is a reflection of the actual deficit from June 2016 to April 2017. With $250 million of that being a forecasted deficit from April 2017 to June 2017. So we're going to wait and see what the actual deficit is once the report is released for June, the ending of June, the findings. You know, I don't understand how this is misleading in any way. If you make a projection, a forecast of what the deficit is going to be in June, I don't know how that's misleading. What I see that as is a bunch of smoke and mirrors from the PLP. All right? What you guys should be doing right now is figuring out how the hell you're going to possibly win another seat in the next election. Okay? Repairing the damages done to your party by the former administration. Now, before I get frustrated with you guys tonight, I'm going to move on to what was next in the news today, which is in the Tribune, big and bold, job figures vindicate the PLP. You're kidding me, right? The chairman of the PLP, just shut up. And that's all I'm going to say. The more you talk, the more you dig the grave of the PLP deeper and deeper. Let me tell you why this particularly pisses me off as a political strategy. All right? You created jobs in the last year before a general election specifically with the intent to gain votes. You have a booming job market over the last year because you knew an election was coming. All right? Me hearing myself right now is driving me nuts. You knew an election was coming. So you did that to garner votes. Now we're finding as we get into government that some of these people don't qualify for the job that they have. You have a public sector that is overwhelmed with persons who are not qualified to do their job. They just got a job because, oh, I know the person. I know this person. My friend is the MP. Blah, blah, blah. That's why they got a job. But you want to say that you're vindicated. The PLP is vindicated, whatever you're vindicated from. by the job numbers that were pretty much just a job that they were given, like, let's say 3 months before an election, and then the contract expires a month after the election. You're not vindicated from anything. You're pretty much just, by talking and saying these things, you're making yourself look like a fool in the presence of the Bahamian public. All right? So, my advice to Bradley Roberts, choose your words wisely. Your former leader, Perry Christie, was on the radio this morning. Maybe you should take his route and choose your words. Because I'm going to say something to this. This is not on what I had to discuss tonight. But if your former leader can come out and say he's concerned and not want to talk about something, that tells the Bahamian public that he's afraid. And he's not afraid of what, you guys are calling a witch hunt by the F&M. And the government of today, I'm going to just, the F&M government. He's not afraid of that situation. What he's afraid of is that he's going to get found out for the wrongs that he was doing as the leader of that party and as the former prime minister. So he's choosing his words wisely because he doesn't want to dig a deeper grave for Bradley Roberts and the PLP or Brave Day, whoever the leader is, because I'm confused as to who your leader is, because you've got Chester Cooper talking like he's a leader, you got Fred Mitchell talking like he's a leader, you got Brave Davis talking like he's a leader, and the other mouthy lady, you know what, I'm not even going to call her name. It's like I'm going to compare her to Voldemort and Harry Potter right now. Like, you just don't say her name. Because, anyway, let's keep going forward here. We're not going to go backwards. Because I'm kind of getting off track here. You've got the BOB issue, the Bank of the Bahamas issue, that I'm not too familiar with, this whole bailout thing that's going on. But what I do understand, Chester Cooper, and what you should understand as someone who is involved in, I believe it's insurance, I think. I could be wrong. But you should understand that if that bank was to fall and close down, the financial effect that is going to have on not only the Bahamian public, but the government as well. Because you have stakeholders in that bank who are in government. You have stakeholders such as investors that are investing in this country who have funds in Bank of the Bahamas, an interest in Bank of the Bahamas. You have a lot of Bahamians, such as government workers, who bank with Bank of the Bahamas. This is my take on the situation. I'm going to do some more research on this because I want to talk more about this Bank of the Bahamas issue. All right? But you should be glad that the government is trying to get Bank of the Bahamas back up and running to an optimum level. Not, oh, this is a U-turn for the F&M government. No, it's not. It's not. All right, I am so sick of hearing you guys with this U-turn talk when you get in, and I'm thinking the other microphone's a camera. It's funny. I keep looking at it like it's a camera. I'm sorry. It's like, that's funny. But you guys have this political rhetoric that you've had for the last 5 years when you were government, then you still carry over into your four-mouth opposition. All right? And it's so ridiculous. You're like, oh, they made a U-turn. It's always the U-turn talk and then the race card. Like that is the two famous cards of the PLP. The U-turn card and the race card. And you know what? I'm going to appeal to the young Bahamians to go and do your research on the political rhetoric of the PLP. Do your research, do some studying, go back in history, and you'll notice they do the same thing over and over again. They like to do this thing where they say, oh, the F&M is going to stop and cancel everything that we do. I don't think we've done much of that. I think what we have done is reviewed a lot of your policies that were made under controversial actions just based on self-gain. So you introduce policies that are for your own self-gain, which is obvious because you have ministers who are found to be extorting monies from person and abusing the public office and the public purse. So, Mr. Cooper, let's be wary of the whole U-turn talk, okay? That's getting old, and I don't think the Bahamian public really wants to hear it anymore. All right? And then you got Fred Mitchell. And Fred Mitchell is calling for former diplomats of this country who the F&M have removed from their posts because it's unnecessary that they be there. He's calling for them to sue the government. And he goes on talking about suing the government for monies that they've not been paid. Wait. They just got terminated. and you're arguing about money is being paid, that you then turn around and tell the Tribune that you don't know of any complaints of persons not being paid any money. So why are you making this a big issue, Mr. Mitchell? Tell me. It's almost as if every time I pick up the paper and it's something to do with someone from the opposition speaking, it's almost as if you can see the power struggle that is going on in the PLP. You got Fred Mitchell opening his mouth every 2 minutes. You got the chairman opening his mouth every 2 minutes. And by the way, I really think that Bradley Roberts needs to retire. Just go. Just get out. Just go. All right? Loftus Roker told you guys to shut up. And I mean, come on. You're not taking it from your own older and wiser persons in your party to tell you to be quiet. Then you got Chester Cooper, who was young, who was vying for leadership. Alfred Sayers, who I think would be a better leader for your party. I would like for all of you who are vying for power to note what Alfred Sayers is doing. All right? That is leadership, if you want to talk about being the leader of an organization. Even though it's not good leadership, but that's kind of like leadership. So, here's some words of advice for you guys. And I just don't understand why you have to just make so much rhetoric to make yourselves look like you're important. And then you turn around and shoot yourself in the foot like Fred Mitchell does and say, oh, but I don't have any complaints of anybody not being paid. Really? You've got to be kidding me. The Bahamian people are not that stupid. All right? Let's move right along. There is something that occurred today in the downtown area that I found really interesting, and I know everyone has seen the video of it. I know all of you have been on social media all day and seen this, but we're gonna put this video up so you guys can see this, and then we're gonna talk about why I'm putting this video up, because this kind of aggravated me to the point where I now understand why our officers do some of the things that they do on these streets, and the level of frustration that they have, and why they react the way they react, even at a simple traffic stop. So let's take a look at this, guys. Now, guys, I bring this video out, and I want to talk about this because it's something, like I said, this is a serious matter when you look at it. Here you have a officer who's obviously attempting to make an arrest, and he's practically held down by a civilian. He's lost his cuffs, he's lost his baton, he's lost his hat, he's cut and bruised. He is down on his back trying to break loose from a civilian who he's trying to arrest. Guys, our officers need better training. And here's what I'm advocating for the police force now. Train these officers in mixed martial arts, hand-to-hand combat. That's it. Train them in it. All right? And also, and some of you aren't going to like this, but I don't care, equip officers who are not fit to have a firearm. You know what? Equip them with something a little bit harder than a baton. But I do believe that all officers should be armed with a handgun, and not no cheap revolver. I'm talking about a serious gun like a Glock or something. Give them all that, all foot patrol officers, and or tasers. Because this situation could have been a whole lot worse had that officer been armed. He obviously doesn't have the hand-to-hand combat training. So what if he didn't get the upper hand? What if he did have a gun? This could have turned out really badly for him. So let's train these officers properly. Let's get them better equipped to handle the situations on the streets. Because what you're going to have is you have officers who are going to be in fear of their lives. They're just out there. They're pretty much like just a security guard. And I'm going to tell you, some of these security guards are They have more training than some of our officers, in my opinion. So let's train our officers a little bit better. I'm pretty sure that the Minister of National Security is going to make sure that that happens eventually. I'm hoping. So if for some reason the Minister of National Security sees this, I think you need to arm our officers, and I think you need to teach them some MMA. And there's some really good instructors. Trust me, I do. So that's going to be a wrap for our show today. Not too long. We miss Shan. Hashtag we miss Shan. And hashtag we miss Granville. Because I could use some jokes right about now, but unfortunately I don't have any. But I'm going to leave you guys with a video that I found really, really interesting today. I believe it's Pastor T.D. Jakes. It inspires you guys. And enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll have our 8 p.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center posted a little bit before 8 or shortly after. And we'll keep you guys, as usual, abreast of what's going on in the tropics. Alrighty? Enjoy your Monday, guys.
Don't take the presence of the storm to indicate the absence of God. Sometimes when you enter into a storm, and there are all kinds of storms, health storms, physical storms, financial storms, emotional storms. There are all kinds of storms. I'm not talking about the storms that rain down water and the lightning and the thunder and all of that. I'm talking about storms that other people can't see. Undetectable storms. Storms that make people think you haven't been through anything. Because you get up out the bed every morning and you put your hair up and put your makeup on, and they don't know you put your smile on just like you did your makeup and walked in smiling because you were going through a secret storm. See, when you're going through a visible storm, somebody will hand you an umbrella or a raft or some help or some assistance because they are aware of your suffering. But when you're going through a secret storm, there is no comfort there because nobody knows that you're dealing with a secret storm. They're jealous of the car you're driving, not knowing that it's 2 payments behind. They're envious of the position that you were promoted to, not knowing that now that you're promoted into that position, you can't even rest at night. You can't even sleep at night. You've got so much pressure and so much responsibility on you. And all of a sudden you're in a storm and nobody even knows it. And when we get in a storm, we have a tendency to wonder, where is God? Job said, I looked for him. He was there a minute ago, but now I can't find him. I looked on the right side and I couldn't find him. I looked on the left side and I perceived him not. Where is God in the storm? Because we buy into this notion that if God was with us, we would have no storm. That if God were really with us, we would be happy. That if God were really with us, everything would go smoothly. That if God were really on our side, we would have no family problems. If God were really with us, our bills would be paid. How could God be with us and us be in foreclosure? Job said, I can't figure it out. How could my kid die and God be with me? How could my house be on fire and God be with me? I looked for him. I looked for him. I didn't see him. I looked on the right. I didn't see him. I looked behind me. I didn't. You said you had my back. I didn't see him. I looked in front of me. I thought he'd lead the way. I didn't see him. But you cannot see in a storm. That's why he told you to walk by faith and not by sight. You cannot see in a storm. Don't look for God to be sensual in your storm. He will not appeal to your senses. Your senses add to your comfort. God will not make you comfortable in your storm. But just because you are in the presence of the storm does not negate the presence of God, nor does it indicate the absence of God. The Bible said he is a very, very present help in the time of trouble. If you're looking for God, he's in the storm. He may not be saying anything, Peter. You may find him asleep on the boat in the bottom of the ship, but don't think that he jumped off the boat because you were in a storm. He is with you in the storm. He promised. Whenever God promises you something, he says, you may not have it in your sensual realm right now, but I promise you. He said, he promised me, when you pass through the water, I'll be with you. He wouldn't have said that if his presence was apparent, because you never promised the obvious. He said, but when you pass through the water, you got my word on it. I am in there with you. You may not see me, you may not feel me, you may not sense me, but I tell you what, all the while you're stroking in the water, understand you are not stroking by yourself. Don't be so aware of the storm that you lose awareness of the God in the storm.